The sun was just beginning to rise over the city, casting a soft glow through the windows of the grand estate. The billionaire, a man whose life was filled with power and influence, was already awake, moving through the quiet halls with a sense of purpose. His schedule was packed with meetings, business deals, and endless phone calls, but this morning was different. Something in the air felt unusual, almost like a ripple of change he couldn't quite place. Meanwhile, the maid's daughter was already busy in the kitchen, preparing breakfast and organizing the household chores. She moved with quiet efficiency, her small frame carrying the weight of responsibility far beyond her years. Her mother had always been strict about teaching her the importance of hard work, and she took pride in every task she completed. She never complained, even when the days were long, and she often stayed late into the night, helping the family and the baby with whatever was needed. The baby, a chubby-cheeked little one who brought joy to everyone around, slept peacefully in the nursery. His soft breaths and tiny movements were comforting, but the maid's daughter couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She had always been observant, noticing little things that others overlooked. Today, as she looked at the baby, a thought struck her like a sudden spark. There was something different, something that didn't fit with the stories she had been told about the family. She tried to push the thought aside, telling herself she might be imagining things, but the feeling refused to leave her. She decided to speak up, though her heart raced with fear. Walking carefully to where the billionaire was reviewing his papers, she took a deep breath. She didn't know how he would react, but she knew she couldn't stay silent. Leaning in close, she whispered, almost trembling, "This baby isn't yours." The billionaire froze, the words hitting him like a sudden gust of wind. He turned to look at her, his eyes narrowing in confusion. At first, he thought he must have misheard, that the stress of his work had made him imagine it. "What did you say?" he asked, his voice low but sharp. I think the baby isn't yours," she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. She looked down, ashamed to speak such a thing, but determined that the truth should not be ignored. There was a courage in her eyes that made it impossible for him to dismiss her outright. He studied her for a long moment, trying to read her expression, trying to understand why she would say something so shocking. Part of him wanted to dismiss it, to tell himself it was impossible. He had trusted the people around him, relied on their honesty for years. And yet, something in her tone, the careful way she had chosen her words, made him pause. Doubt, a feeling he rarely experienced, began to creep into his mind. The maid's daughter felt the tension in the room. She had expected anger, maybe even scolding, but instead, there was silence, heavy and uncertain. She shifted nervously, fidgeting with her hands, but kept her gaze steady. She had risked everything by speaking out, but she could not let the baby be part of a lie. Her conscience would not allow it. The billionaire finally spoke, his voice a mix of disbelief and curiosity. "Why would you say something like that? How could you possibly know?" I just have a feeling," she said softly. "I've noticed things, little things that don't add up. I thought maybe I was wrong, but I needed to tell you, just in case." His mind raced, recalling every moment he had spent with the baby. Every laugh, every cry, every small milestone. Could it be possible that what she said was true? He felt a knot tighten in his chest. This was not something he could ignore, and yet the idea of confirming it terrified him. The thought of betrayal, of a hidden truth lurking beneath the surface of his carefully controlled life, made him feel vulnerable in a way he rarely had. The maid's daughter noticed his struggle and felt a pang of guilt. She hadn't meant to hurt him, only to protect the truth. She had always respected him, admired his determination and the way he cared for those around him. But now, seeing him conflicted, she realized the weight of her words and how they might change everything. The silence stretched on, filled with unspoken questions. He finally nodded slowly, as if making a decision. "We need to find out the truth," he said. His voice was firm, but there was an edge of unease. "If what you're saying is true, we can't ignore it. And if it's not, we need to be certain." She nodded, relief washing over her. The fear that she had spoken out of turn began to fade slightly. At least he was willing to consider the possibility, willing to seek the truth instead of dismissing her. It was a small victory, but an important one. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she was ready to face it. As the day went on, the atmosphere in the house changed. The billionaire went about his work with a new intensity, his mind preoccupied with the possibility that the baby was not his. The maid's daughter continued her chores, her thoughts heavy with the secret she had revealed. Neither spoke much, but both were aware of the silent understanding between them. They were now linked by a truth that had yet to be proven, a truth that could alter their lives forever. The baby continued to sleep, oblivious to the storm brewing around him. His innocence and vulnerability made the situation even more poignant. The maid's daughter glanced at him, her heart aching with a mix of love and concern. She had always cared for him, and nothing would change that. Her intention had never been to cause pain, only to ensure honesty. That evening, as the sun set and the estate was bathed in golden light, the billionaire made his first step toward uncovering the truth. He arranged for a DNA test, insisting that it be done discreetly. The maid's daughter helped as best she could, her hands trembling slightly as she assisted with the preparations. Both knew that once the results came back, everything would change. There would be no turning back, no more room for uncertainty. Throughout the night, the billionaire sat in his study, thinking about the events of the day. He had always prided himself on his ability to control situations, to anticipate problems before they arose. Yet this was different. This was personal. This was his family. The thought that someone could hide such a significant truth from him unsettled him deeply. And yet, he also felt a strange gratitude toward the maid's daughter. Without her courage, he might never have known. The maid's daughter, on the other hand, lay awake in her small room, replaying the day's events in her mind. She felt a mixture of fear and hope. Fear for what might come, and hope that the truth would finally set things right. She understood the gravity of her actions, but she also knew that honesty, no matter how painful, was always the right choice. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, both the billionaire and the maid's daughter felt the weight of what was to come. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. The seed of doubt had been planted, and soon, the truth would grow, revealing a reality that none of them could have anticipated. For now, they waited, each lost in their own thoughts, each preparing for the moment when the DNA test would finally answer the question that had been whispered on a quiet morning. Could it be true that the baby wasn't his? The night passed slowly, heavy with anticipation. And as dawn approached once more, the world outside remained oblivious to the silent storm unfolding within the walls of the grand estate. A storm that would soon change lives forever. The next morning, the billionaire woke earlier than usual, his mind restless and heavy. He could not shake off the maid's daughter's words from the previous day. He moved through the estate quietly, trying to focus on his work, but every paper, every phone call, and every meeting felt blurred by the nagging thought. He had trusted the people around him for years, yet the possibility that he had been deceived or misled sent an unfamiliar shiver down his spine. The maid's daughter, meanwhile, went about her daily chores with a careful quietness. She knew that what she had said would set things in motion, and she carried a mixture of fear and hope in her heart. She feared the consequences of the truth, worried how it might shake the foundations of the household, but she also felt a sense of responsibility. The baby's life and the honesty of the people around him were at stake. She couldn't back down now. The estate buzzed with its usual routine, but a subtle tension lingered in the air. Staff members moved briskly, unaware of the silent storm brewing beneath the polished surface of their daily tasks. The baby's laughter echoed through the halls, a sweet and innocent reminder of the stakes, while the billionaire watched from a distance, his mind constantly returning to the thought that perhaps nothing about this child was as it seemed. During breakfast, the billionaire observed the baby more closely than usual. Every movement, every expression, he studied with an intensity that unsettled him. There were moments when the baby's actions reminded him of traits he believed were his own. Other times, subtle differences appeared, gestures, expressions, even tiny habits that didn't match his memories or expectations. His heart tightened with confusion and unease. How could something so small bring such a profound uncertainty into his life? The maid's daughter sensed his scrutiny. She tried to act normal, continuing her work with gentle care, feeding the baby, and tending to the household chores. She noticed the billionaire's eyes on her, full of questions and unspoken tension. Every glance seemed to demand proof. Every pause seemed to call for an explanation. Yet she said nothing more, choosing patience and silence as her weapons. She had spoken the truth once. Now, she had to let events unfold naturally. As the day went on, the billionaire became increasingly absorbed in subtle details. He spoke to the staff casually, asking seemingly random questions, hoping to find a clue, an answer, or a confirmation. He inquired about the baby's early days, about medical records, about small incidents that had been overlooked. Each answer gave him something to consider, but nothing conclusive. The uncertainty gnawed at him. He realized that no one, not even the staff who had been around the baby since birth, could provide the clarity he needed. The truth lay hidden, like a puzzle missing a crucial piece. Late in the afternoon, he found a quiet moment in his private study. He sat alone, hands clasped, staring out of the large windows at the gardens below. The estate seemed serene, calm, almost untouched by the storm raging inside his mind. Yet within him, questions swirled relentlessly. Could he have been deceived all this time? How would he confront the people responsible if the truth proved him right? And most importantly, how could he protect the baby, who had done nothing wrong in all this confusion? Meanwhile, the maid's daughter moved silently through the halls. She paused in the nursery, watching the baby sleep. Her heart ached with tenderness. She had grown attached, caring deeply for the little one, and she knew that the coming days would be difficult for everyone involved. But despite her fear, she felt a quiet satisfaction. She had acted according to her conscience, and that gave her strength. As evening approached, the billionaire made arrangements for the DNA test. He insisted on complete discretion, knowing that the revelation, regardless of the outcome, could ripple through the household in unpredictable ways. He contacted the laboratory personally, ensuring that every detail was handled with precision and secrecy. The maid's daughter assisted where she could, her hands trembling slightly as she handled paperwork and helped with the preparation. Both understood the gravity of what was happening. Once the test began, there would be no turning back. Night fell over the estate, casting shadows that seemed to mirror the uncertainty of the day. The billionaire stayed in his study, reviewing documents and trying to distract himself from the tension building within. He found it impossible to focus, his mind returning again and again to the possibility that the baby might not be his. Each memory, each milestone, each cherished moment was now viewed through the lens of doubt. He realized that trust, once fractured, was difficult to rebuild, no matter how strong the bonds had seemed. The maid's daughter, too, struggled to sleep. She lay in her small room, replaying every detail of the day. She thought about the expression on the billionaire's face, the hesitation in his voice, and the weight of responsibility she now carried. She feared judgment, yet she felt a quiet resolve. Honesty had always been her guiding principle, and she could not turn away, even from a truth that might bring pain to others. Through the night, both the billionaire and the maid's daughter were kept awake by thoughts and fears. The baby, blissfully unaware, slept peacefully, embodying innocence in its purest form. It was a stark contrast to the storm of emotions surrounding him. The billionaire occasionally peered into the nursery, observing the child's tiny movements, feeling both love and a gnawing uncertainty. He recognized that no matter the results, his feelings would be complicated, his decisions difficult. By the next morning, the air in the estate was thick with anticipation. The DNA test had been collected and was now on its way to the laboratory. Both the billionaire and the maid's daughter knew that soon, the answers would arrive, and the hidden truth would no longer remain a secret. They moved through their daily routines with careful attention, speaking little, each lost in their own thoughts. Throughout the day, moments of normalcy appeared, but they were fleeting. The billionaire caught himself smiling at the baby, feeling warmth and tenderness, only to be reminded of the uncertainty that lingered. The maid's daughter laughed softly at a small game she played with the child, only to feel a pang of anxiety about what the future might hold. Every interaction, every gesture, was tinged with an awareness that everything could change in an instant. Even as the sun set and the estate was bathed in warm evening light, both the billionaire and the maid's daughter felt the weight of anticipation pressing down on them. The test results would arrive soon, and with them clarity and consequences. Each had their own way of coping. The billionaire with careful reflection, the maid's daughter with quiet determination. Both understood that honesty had set this path in motion, and that only the truth could guide them forward. As night settled over the estate once more, a sense of stillness enveloped the household. The baby slept soundly, unaware of the tension that surrounded him. The billionaire looked at him one last time before retiring, thoughts heavy with doubt and hope intertwined. The maid's daughter paused by the nursery door, whispering a quiet prayer for guidance and protection. The night was long, filled with unspoken fears and questions. Yet both knew that when morning came, their lives would be forever changed by the revelations that awaited them. The story of truth, trust, and courage was only beginning, and neither could predict the journey that lay ahead. The following morning, the estate was quiet, yet there was a tension that seemed to hang over every room. The billionaire moved through the halls with a steady but distracted pace, his thoughts still consumed by the possibility that the baby might not be his. Each glance at the little one seemed to bring both warmth and doubt. The baby's bright eyes and innocent smile were a constant reminder of how fragile life could be and how easily trust could be shaken. The maid's daughter was already at work, preparing breakfast and tidying the rooms, but her mind was elsewhere. She knew that soon the DNA results would arrive, and with them, the truth she had risked so much to reveal. Her hands moved automatically, but her heart pounded with anticipation and worry. She cared deeply for the baby and had grown attached, making the thought of the test results even more stressful. She hoped the outcome would be clear, that it would confirm what she believed, yet she feared the pain it might cause. The billionaire decided to take a walk in the gardens, hoping the fresh air would clear his mind. The gardens were beautifully maintained, filled with blooming flowers, winding paths, and the gentle sound of water trickling in the fountains. Yet even in this serene setting, he could not escape the weight of doubt. Every detail he observed, from the baby's laughter echoing through the halls to the way the staff moved around him, reminded him that the truth could be closer than he wanted to admit. As he walked, his thoughts drifted back to moments with the baby. First smiles, first steps, first words. Could these memories be deceiving him? He remembered the warmth he felt holding the child, the joy he saw in his eyes. But then, small inconsistencies crept into his mind. Gestures that seemed unfamiliar, expressions that felt distant. He realized that trust, once questioned, changed the way a person saw the world. He had always relied on careful observation and logic, yet now he felt powerless against the uncertainty. Inside the estate, the maid's daughter tended to the baby, playing softly with him, singing gentle songs, and ensuring he was comfortable. She watched his innocent movements, feeling a mixture of love and anxiety. She knew that when the test results came, their lives could be transformed forever. She had always believed in honesty, even when it was uncomfortable or frightening, and now she waited to see the consequences of speaking the truth. The staff moved quietly around the estate, unaware of the tension lurking just beneath the surface. The routine of their work continued, but there was a subtle awareness in the air. The baby's laughter and cries punctuated the silence, a reminder of innocence amidst the uncertainty. The billionaire and the maid's daughter shared glances across the rooms, each understanding the other's unspoken thoughts. They were united by a secret that would soon no longer be hidden. As midday approached, the billionaire decided to check on the progress of the DNA test. He made a discreet call to the laboratory, ensuring that everything was on schedule. The test was being handled with the utmost care, and he was informed that results would be delivered soon. Despite this, he could not shake the nervous tension. The thought of facing the truth, whether confirming or denying the maid's daughter's words, filled him with both anticipation and dread. Meanwhile, the maid's daughter kept herself busy with chores, but she found it difficult to focus. Every sound in the house, every movement of the baby, seemed magnified. She caught herself imagining different scenarios, wondering how the billionaire would react to each possibility. She feared causing pain, yet she knew that the truth was necessary. She had always believed that honesty, no matter how difficult, was the right path. Later in the afternoon, the billionaire found a quiet corner in the estate to reflect. He thought about the maid's daughter, her courage, and the integrity that had driven her to speak out. Her bravery impressed him, even as the uncertainty weighed heavily on his heart. He realized that the baby, innocent and unaware, deserved honesty and clarity above all else. His responsibility was not just to himself but to the child, who depended on the adults around him for protection and care. The maid's daughter, sensing the growing weight of the situation, paused in her tasks to watch the baby. She played gently with him, laughing softly at his small antics. Each smile, each innocent gesture, reminded her of why she had chosen to speak the truth. She had hoped that by being honest, she could prevent future complications and ensure that the baby's life was built on clarity rather than deception. Yet she could not deny the fear that the results might bring heartbreak. As evening fell, the estate seemed to hold its breath. The billionaire and the maid's daughter prepared for the arrival of the test results, each in their own way coping with the stress and anticipation. The billionaire reviewed paperwork, made notes, and thought through possible scenarios. The maid's daughter moved quietly through the house, ensuring that everything was in order and that the baby was safe and comfortable. Both understood that once the results were revealed, there would be no turning back. Night descended over the estate, and the baby finally fell asleep in the nursery. The billionaire sat alone in his study, reflecting on the day and on the events that had led to this point. He thought about the maid's daughter's words, about the small inconsistencies he had noticed, and about the importance of facing the truth. Despite the uncertainty, he felt a sense of determination. Whatever the results showed, he knew he had to handle the situation with care and responsibility. The maid's daughter lay in her room, unable to sleep. She replayed the events of the day in her mind, thinking about the billionaire's reaction, the baby's innocent movements, and the upcoming test results. She feared the consequences, yet she felt a quiet sense of pride. Speaking the truth had not been easy, but she had done what she believed was right. Her thoughts drifted between worry and hope, knowing that soon, clarity would arrive. As the night grew deeper, both the billionaire and the maid's daughter were consumed by anticipation. The baby slept peacefully, a stark contrast to the adults around him, whose hearts and minds were full of questions and uncertainty. The estate, grand and serene on the outside, held within it the weight of impending revelation. In the early hours of the morning, the first signs of the day appeared, bringing with them the promise of answers. The DNA test results would arrive soon, and with them, the truth that had been whispered in a quiet moment. Both the billionaire and the maid's daughter understood that their lives, and the life of the baby, would be forever changed by what was to come. They were bound together by honesty, courage, and the anticipation of a revelation that could not be ignored. The night ended with both of them awake in thought, ready to face whatever the truth would bring, knowing that life would never be the same again. The morning sunlight streamed through the grand windows of the estate, illuminating the rooms with a warm glow that contrasted sharply with the tension inside. Today was the day the DNA results would arrive, and both the billionaire and the maid's daughter felt the weight of anticipation pressing heavily on their hearts. Every sound in the house seemed amplified, the baby's cooing, the distant chatter of staff, even the ticking of the clock in the study. The quiet seemed louder than usual, as if the estate itself held its breath, waiting for the revelation that could change everything. The billionaire moved through the halls with a careful, deliberate pace. His mind raced with possibilities, each scenario playing out in his head. He thought about what it would mean if the test confirmed the maid's daughter's words. The idea of betrayal, deception, and hidden secrets filled him with a complex mix of fear, anger, and sadness. Yet there was also a flicker of respect and gratitude for the maid's daughter, who had had the courage to speak the truth. Without her, he might have remained unaware, living a life built on assumptions rather than reality. The maid's daughter went about her morning chores, her heart heavy but her resolve steady. She had always known that telling the truth could be difficult, but she had never imagined how stressful it would feel to wait for confirmation of something so life-changing. She moved quietly through the house, checking on the baby, tidying rooms, and preparing the estate for the day, but her mind was elsewhere. She thought about the baby, innocent and unaware, and hoped that whatever the results showed, the child would be treated with love and care. Finally, a discreet messenger arrived with the envelope containing the DNA results. The billionaire's hands shook slightly as he took it from the messenger, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The maid's daughter stood nearby, her eyes fixed on him, waiting silently, her hands clasped together. She could feel the tension radiating from him, and her own nerves were taut, ready to face whatever truth lay within that envelope. He opened the envelope slowly, his eyes scanning the paper, reading the results carefully. The silence in the room was profound, broken only by the faint sounds of the estate settling around them. Then, the truth became clear, undeniable and unyielding. The DNA test confirmed the maid's daughter's whispered words. The baby was not his. The news hit him like a physical blow, leaving him momentarily speechless, his mind struggling to process the revelation. He sank into a nearby chair, his hands gripping the arms as emotions surged within him. Shock, disbelief, and a profound sense of betrayal washed over him. He thought about all the moments he had shared with the child, the laughter, the milestones, the quiet nights, and realized that the reality beneath those memories was far more complicated than he had ever imagined. His chest tightened with a mixture of sorrow and confusion, and for the first time in a long while, he felt vulnerable, exposed, and uncertain. The maid's daughter watched him carefully, her own emotions a mixture of relief and concern. She had hoped that the truth would come to light, but seeing the impact on him brought a pang of empathy. She had never intended to cause pain, only to ensure honesty. She stepped closer, her voice gentle as she spoke. "I know this is hard. I didn't mean to hurt you, but you deserve to know." He looked up at her, his eyes reflecting a mixture of gratitude and anguish. "You were right," he said quietly. "I didn't want to believe it, but the truth cannot be ignored. Thank you for having the courage to speak up, even when it was difficult." His voice shook slightly, but there was sincerity in his words, a recognition of the bravery and integrity the maid's daughter had shown. As the day progressed, the billionaire struggled to come to terms with the revelation. He moved through the estate, speaking with staff discreetly, piecing together information that might explain how this deception had occurred. He felt a deep sense of responsibility to protect the baby, to ensure that the child's life would not be affected by the complicated truths surrounding him. Despite the shock and the sense of betrayal, he realized that his role was now clear: to provide care, love, and stability for the child, regardless of the results. The maid's daughter continued to assist where she could, her presence calm and steady. She helped with the baby, offering gentle guidance and support, and she observed the billionaire, noting the way he grappled with the truth. She understood that while the revelation was painful, it also provided clarity. No longer would they be clouded by uncertainty. The truth, however difficult, allowed them to act with honesty and integrity. Throughout the afternoon, the atmosphere in the estate remained charged but purposeful. The billionaire made plans, thinking through the best ways to handle the situation and protect the baby's well-being. He considered the implications of the revelation for the family, the staff, and himself. There was a mixture of strategic thought and emotional reflection as he balanced the need for care with the desire for answers. Every decision was made with careful attention to fairness and responsibility. The maid's daughter, meanwhile, focused on the baby, ensuring he was happy, fed, and comfortable. She watched his innocent movements and felt a sense of tenderness and protection. Despite the shock of the day, she remained committed to her role, understanding that the child's life and emotional security were paramount. She had acted with honesty and courage, and now she continued to act with compassion and care. As evening approached, the billionaire took a moment to reflect alone. He looked out at the gardens, the soft light of sunset painting the world in warm colors. He thought about the maid's daughter, her honesty, and the way she had risked so much to speak the truth. He realized that while the situation was painful, it had also revealed strength and integrity in those around him. The truth, though difficult, had brought clarity, and with it, the opportunity to act responsibly and wisely. The maid's daughter, in her room, also reflected on the day. She had been honest, brave, and caring, and now she saw the impact of her actions. She felt a mixture of relief and anxiety, knowing that the days ahead would be challenging, but confident that honesty would guide them. Her thoughts returned to the baby, whose life remained innocent and untouched by the complexities surrounding him. She vowed to continue caring for him with love, patience, and integrity. Night fell over the estate, casting long shadows across the rooms and gardens. The baby slept peacefully, unaware of the storm that had passed and the truths that had been revealed. The billionaire, sitting in his study, considered the future, knowing that while the past could not be changed, the present and future were theirs to shape. The maid's daughter, nearby, watched over the household with quiet determination, her heart full of hope and resolve. The day had been filled with revelation, emotion, and reflection. The truth had emerged, undeniable and powerful, and it had changed the course of lives within the estate. Yet, amidst the shock and uncertainty, there was a sense of clarity, a recognition that honesty and courage had prevailed. Both the billionaire and the maid's daughter understood that the path forward would require care, thoughtfulness, and compassion, but they were ready to face it together, guided by the truth and a shared commitment to the well-being of the innocent child whose life had unknowingly been at the center of it all. As the night deepened, both the billionaire and the maid's daughter prepared for rest, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, decisions, and opportunities to act with integrity. The baby, innocent and unaware, continued to sleep soundly, a beacon of life and hope in a world suddenly made clearer by truth. The revelation had been shocking, but it had also offered a foundation upon which honesty, trust, and care could be rebuilt, shaping the lives of all involved in ways that would endure for years to come. The morning light seeped gently through the curtains of the grand estate, casting a soft glow over the rooms that had witnessed so much change in the past days. Today was a new beginning, a day filled with reflection and the careful steps toward a future shaped by the truth. The billionaire rose early, moving through the halls with purpose and a quiet determination. The DNA results had changed everything, yet they had also given him clarity. His thoughts were no longer tangled in uncertainty. Now, they were focused on the steps he needed to take to ensure the well-being of the baby and the household. The maid's daughter was already moving through the estate, her hands busy with chores but her heart lighter than it had been in days. She had always believed that honesty was the guiding principle of life, and now she saw the tangible impact of her courage. The baby, blissfully unaware of the complex truths surrounding him, cooed and laughed as she tended to him. Her heart swelled with tenderness, knowing that despite the upheaval, his life remained full of love and care. She had spoken the truth, and now she could focus on nurturing the child, ensuring that his innocence remained untouched by the difficulties adults faced. The billionaire spent the morning reviewing his responsibilities. He knew he had to make decisions carefully, balancing the emotional needs of the baby with the practical aspects of the situation. He called discreet meetings with the staff to ensure that they understood the importance of honesty and discretion moving forward. He wanted to protect the child from any unnecessary confusion or pain, and he knew that clear guidance and thoughtful planning were essential. His mind was sharp, yet his heart was gentle, recognizing the delicate balance of care required. Throughout the day, moments of warmth and connection emerged. The billionaire observed the baby closely, seeing in his innocent eyes the potential for a happy life despite the complexities surrounding him. He realized that while the baby might not be biologically his, the bond they shared could still grow strong through love, care, and attention. Each smile, each small movement, reinforced the idea that family could be defined by action and devotion rather than just bloodlines. The maid's daughter moved quietly alongside him, offering insights and support where needed. She had been the first to speak the truth, and now she remained a steady presence, helping to navigate the emotional terrain. Her courage had been rewarded with a new sense of respect and recognition, but she remained humble, focused on the baby and the importance of nurturing his life with compassion and honesty. As the afternoon progressed, the billionaire took time to reflect on the lessons he had learned. Trust and vigilance, courage and compassion, all had played a role in arriving at this point. He realized that while the revelation had been shocking, it had also revealed strength in those around him. The maid's daughter, in particular, had demonstrated an unwavering commitment to truth, even in the face of fear. He felt gratitude and admiration for her, understanding that her actions had prevented potential harm and had allowed the family to face reality with integrity. The baby's laughter echoed through the estate, a sweet reminder that life continued, unaffected by the complications of adult concerns. The billionaire and the maid's daughter shared a quiet understanding, knowing that their roles were now clearly defined. He would continue to provide care, guidance, and stability for the child, while she would continue to nurture and protect him. Together, they created a safe environment where the baby could grow, learn, and flourish. Evening approached, casting a gentle light across the estate. The billionaire and the maid's daughter sat together in the nursery, watching the baby play. They shared stories and memories, quietly celebrating the small joys of life. The tension that had once filled the air was replaced by a sense of calm and purpose. The truth had been revealed, and now they could move forward, building relationships grounded in honesty and care. The billionaire reflected on the broader implications of the experience. He realized that life was unpredictable, filled with challenges that required both courage and compassion. The revelation had tested his ability to remain composed, to act with integrity, and to protect those who depended on him. It had also reinforced the importance of listening, observing, and valuing the insights of those around him. The maid's daughter's bravery had been a catalyst for change, and he felt a renewed sense of responsibility to act wisely and compassionately. The maid's daughter, meanwhile, continued to focus on the baby, ensuring he was safe, happy, and loved. She understood that her role extended beyond mere observation. She was a guardian of innocence, a guide through the complexities of life that lay ahead. Her courage had brought clarity, and now her dedication ensured that the child's life would be filled with warmth, stability, and care. As night fell over the estate, a gentle quiet settled in. The baby slept soundly, a symbol of life's resilience and the enduring power of love and care. The billionaire and the maid's daughter moved through the house, completing tasks, checking on the child, and preparing for the days to come. There was a sense of peace, a recognition that honesty and courage had paved the way for a better future. The billionaire sat for a moment in the study, reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this point. He thought about the challenges they had faced, the revelations that had shaken their lives, and the strength demonstrated by those around him. He realized that while life would continue to present obstacles, the lessons learned here would guide him in making thoughtful, compassionate decisions in the future. The maid's daughter, standing nearby, watched the sunset from a window, feeling a quiet satisfaction. She had acted with integrity, faced her fears, and remained steadfast in her commitment to truth. Now, she could focus on the positive impact of her actions, knowing that the baby's life would be enriched by love, honesty, and care. Throughout the estate, a sense of balance and calm returned. The household had weathered a storm of uncertainty, yet emerged stronger and more aware. The billionaire and the maid's daughter had forged a bond through honesty and courage, each recognizing the value of the other's presence and guidance. The baby, blissfully unaware of the complexities surrounding him, thrived in the love and protection provided by the adults who cared deeply for him. The night deepened, bringing with it a quiet stillness. The billionaire reflected on the lessons of the day, understanding that responsibility, empathy, and integrity were the cornerstones of meaningful action. The maid's daughter continued to watch over the household, her heart full of hope and determination. The baby, sleeping peacefully, represented the promise of life's resilience and the enduring importance of truth and care. As the first stars appeared in the sky, both the billionaire and the maid's daughter felt a sense of closure and readiness for the future. The challenges of the past days had tested their courage and character, but the revelation of truth had allowed them to act with clarity and purpose. Together, they had navigated the uncertainty, ensuring that the child's life remained secure, happy, and full of love. In the stillness of the night, the estate held a sense of quiet triumph. Honesty, courage, and care had prevailed, and the lives of all involved were forever changed for the better. The billionaire and the maid's daughter had learned the power of truth, the importance of compassion, and the value of integrity. And in the nursery, the baby slept on, a reminder of the enduring strength of life, love, and the human spirit.